because there are some good reasons and some not so good reasons to write a book, whether it's a children's book or a book for adults. Well, today I want to explain just a few reasons why it may not be a good reason for you to write the book you're writing or to publish the book that you have already written. Now, to just introduce myself, my name is Travis D. Peterson, and I am a children's book author as well as a book designer and publishing coach. And I am about to release a new book for authors called the Indie Author's Dozen. And I want to invite you to download the very first chapter of the Indie Author's Dozen so that you can just kind of get a taste of what the book is all about. So if you go to indieauthorsdozen.com, you can access that first chapter. Now, let's jump into 4 reasons why I think you should maybe not publish that book you're working on. But I'm also going to sort of flip the script and say, give you some good reasons why you should do it. So 4 not so good reasons and 4 reasons why you should do it. And really, it's just about changing your perspective of why you're writing the book. So these 4 reasons, actually, they're not based on anything that I've developed. It's actually from an article that I read by someone by the name of Jeff Goins, who, interestingly enough, he used to be the marketing director for Adventures in Missions, but he's also an author. He's written books like Real Artists Don't Starve and You Are an Author, So Start Acting Like One. I haven't read his books. I'm fairly new to Jeff and just came across this article recently as I've been writing this book I'm working on. And but I think I'm going to add these books to my list and get a hold of them because I really like what he had to say. So let's start with reason number 1, why you shouldn't write the book. And that is if you're writing to be heard. Now, I would imagine if you're writing to be heard, it's because for a long time you felt unheard. Maybe there's some hurt. Maybe there's some brokenness that needs to be addressed. And so you feel like writing a book. Maybe if I just write a book, then people will hear me. But can I just encourage you? That may not be the best reason to write a book. In fact, if you feel unheard, and if you feel like you need to be heard, my suggestion would be to maybe seek out a counselor or someone to talk to, whether that's a loved one, a family member, friend that you're close to, a pastor. Find someone to talk to that genuinely want to hear you. But don't write a book just to be heard. Okay. Let's go to number 2. Second reason why you shouldn't write a book, and that's if you feel like you need to be understood. Don't write to be understood. Now, again, if you're writing to be understood, it's likely because you feel misunderstood. It's very similar to writing to be heard, I guess. But And I might fall into this category. I often feel misunderstood by some people, at least, throughout earlier years. And I guess my suggestion for anyone who feels misunderstood, I'm a believer, and I'm sure a lot of my audience are also believers. You might be a believer, but if not, I just want to encourage you that I believe God fully understands and knows you. The Bible says that he knows every hair that's on your head. He knows your thoughts even before you think them. So if you feel misunderstood, My encouragement is to turn it over to God. Tell God your thoughts. Pray about where you feel misunderstood. Again, you could also talk to somebody else, find somebody that genuinely will listen to you. I think many people feel misunderstood these days because of social media and this sort of barrier that we put between ourselves, where we're not talking face to face, we're talking to a screen, or we're typing these short messages, or we're posting memes, or there's this social media barrier between so many people, and it's hard to have a genuine relationship with people if that is the only source of our communication. So my suggestion, if you feel misunderstood, is to seek out somebody that you can meet face to face with and have those deep conversations. Go for coffee, go for lunch, whatever it may be. Invite them over to your house, and you just sit on the couch and talk over a nice cup of tea. But let's have these deep conversations face to face to feel understood. But don't write a book just to feel understood. Reason number 3 why you shouldn't write a book is to impress others. Don't write a book just to impress others. Don't write a book just to elevate yourself, to bring value to your life, and to maybe to become famous or any reason like that, because it's the wrong reason to write a book. If you feel like you need to impress others, and if you feel like you need to bring some sort of value to yourself, then likely you're seeking attention, you're seeking validation. So then what's the right response to that? And again, those deep conversations, like I'm saying, that's really where it needs to come along. But also, it could be that for so long, somebody is making you feel invaluable. They're not listening to you. They're making you feel lesser than. Someone has been talking down to you and maybe verbally abusing you. I don't know what the situation is, of course. I'm just giving some options why this may be the case. So it's just some things to think about here. Again, look for somebody you trust. Look for someone who you can talk to deeply about this, somebody who is willing to listen to you and give you validation and encourage you and speak into your life. Maybe what you really need is a mentor, someone you can look up to who sees the value in your life and he can encourage you through the journey you're on. But don't write a book just to bring validation. Now, number 4, reasons not to write a book is to make a fortune. Why do I say this? We see all these authors who are, famous authors who are making bukus of money, and they're able to live off of their writing, off of their books. Tolkien and Sanderson and Grisham, and I'm naming a lot of I'm naming some authors that maybe people aren't even familiar with, but whoever your hero author is, maybe that they can live off of their income by writing a book. Let me tell you, that may not be the case for you, especially if this is your first book. Don't expect it to sell millions of copies. Don't expect that you can just quit your job and live off of the royalties you make from your first book. It's just not going to happen. Don't write a book to make a fortune. It's just, of course, it can happen, but It doesn't happen often. For someone to live off of the royalties or the income from their book, likely, there's the rare one-hit wonder, but likely they have a lot of books that they've written. So they have royalties coming in from many different books, or they have other streams of income maybe based on that book. So, if you want to be a full-time author, those are the kind of situations you need to look at. You need to look at writing multiple books or have other income streams that are based on your book. Maybe if you're a children's book author, you're doing school visits, or you're looking for different organizations that are connected to your niche that might want to sell your book at wholesale, or different, things like that. You're speaking publicly to groups, or you are going to book fairs and setting up booths. There's all kinds of other income streams that you can find to have an income and live comfortably as an author, but it won't be based off of one book and the royalties or the income from that one book. So that's number 4. Don't write a book just to make a fortune. Of course you can make income, but don't expect to get rich off of one book or your first book. So there you have it. Those are the 4 reasons not to write a book. So I want to flip the script, like I said, and now give you 4 reasons why you should write a book. And again, this comes from Jeff Goins. And just a reminder, I quote Jeff Goins in my book, The Indie Author's Dozen. And you can access the first chapter of that book at indieauthorsdozen.com. It's an unedited introduction chapter to the book. And then you'll also have a chance to access further chapters as I release them to my beta readers. So if you want to join my beta team and offer feedback on each chapter, you can do that. And I hope to release the book here in a few months later in this year. So keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited about this book that will help authors, especially children's book authors, to go from writing a manuscript to publishing a book as an indie author, indie publisher. So we look at all the different team members that you should have, and that's the Indie Authors Dozen. It's these members of your team that you should have, whether they are unpaid volunteer members, such as even just your audience, your niche readers and beta readers, but also different roles that you have, such as self-editor, author, self-publisher, all these things. And then also some of the more professional roles that need to be on your team as well. So that's what the book is all about. It's all about putting together your dream team for self-publishing your book. indieauthorsdozen.com. Access the first chapter there. It's unedited. It's a raw chapter, but you can kind of get a sense of what the book is about. Now, let's flip the script. Once again, these 4 reasons not to write a book, and we're going to turn it into why you should write a book. The first one, instead of writing to be heard, write because you have something important to say. What a powerful statement that is. Instead of writing to be heard, write because you have something important to say. Let that sink in for a minute. Instead of writing to be understood, write to help others feel understood. You see where I'm going with this? Instead of writing to impress or bring attention to yourself, write to make a difference. And instead of writing to make a fortune, write to bring value. You see, friend, it really comes down to one thing. Don't write for yourself or with yourself in mind, but write for others. Think about your reader and write for them, even in children's books. Write with them in mind, not yourself. How powerful is that? See, you're not your audience. You are the author. You're the publisher. Your reader is your audience. So write with them in mind. For me, my children's books often, the two that I have released so far, and I have others in the works, they bring awareness to hearing loss, hearing devices, teaching the ASL alphabet, things like that, because that's something I'm passionate about as a parent of a deaf child. And so I'm writing with that sort of audience in mind, families with children with hearing loss. And so I want to help bring awareness to this type of lifestyle. And so whether your book is educational or it's bringing awareness to a disability or a culture or whatever the sake may be, you have an audience that you should focus on. And I want to encourage you to write for your audience, not for yourself. That's really it. That's all I have for today. Again, go to indieauthorsdozen.com to access that first chapter. And if you haven't yet, go back and watch the first video that I made a couple of weeks ago about this brand new book that's coming out, where you can kind of get a whole overview of what the book is about. I'm going to put a link to the image somewhere here on the side, so you'll find it. Thanks.